I believe that in modern society, people often praise products of scientific progress without understanding process behind it at all. Most people will brush off any topic that involves even the slightest understanding of sciences, such as chemistry or physics. They will say that they're only interested by what is offered at the end and that they do not need to know anything more. Obviously, not all of us are going to be engineers that will design the newest phone models, or pharmacists capable of making medicine that will do wonders. Therefore, people, especially students, often ask the question, why do I need to learn all of this? Most people will tell you that you need math and science because they develop a different kind of thinking in your brain, the kind that is going to help you no matter what you decide to do in life. And as much as I agree with that 100%, I think there are deeper meanings between the lines in books that are often left unopened. There are definitely a lot of people that should be mentioned whenever we're talking about scientific discoveries from the past, but there are few that cannot be missed, one of which is Isaac Newton. He is known for working out many principles, clearly because most of them have been playing a fundamental role in our understanding of physics for the past centuries, and they will continue to do so for many more years to come. There's a common fun fact people often share that Newton first realized gravity after seeing an apple fall down from a tree that he was sitting under. It's incredible to think that backbone of the current world of science can be tied back to that one incident, and it would be completely impossible to imagine our world without it. However, most listeners in the audience probably know Newton for his laws of motion. It's obvious to see what these three laws indicate: motion. But in my perception, they can describe not just movement, but lessons that everyone should understand, accept, and learn from. To start off, I would like to ask whether or not you guys have ever felt like whenever you do something good, it's not kindness and good fortune that's coming back to you, but quite the opposite. The more productive, thoughtful, kind-hearted you try to be, the more you seem to be treated poorly. This is actually explained quite well in Newton's third law of motion, which says that every action has an opposite reaction, and every force has another force of same strength yet different sign acting along with it. To bring an easy example of this, let's say we have two skateboards placed right in front of each other. If we were to push one towards the other, the second one would obviously be pushed back. But what you should also notice here is that after hitting the second one, first one also goes backwards. That happens because as much as the first one seems like the only one with force here, second one replies right back with the same force, yet causes it to move to the opposite direction. This is similar to what people feel when they constantly try to have a positive force. Everything they try to be good to often has an opposite reaction. As much as most people think that this law is unfair once it becomes evident in their lives, I think everyone should grow to see beauty in this kind of balance. How everything good has bad coming along with it to keep you challenged, and how everything bad has good on the other side of it to remind you how to see light even during hard times. If this law were to be untrue, if forces were only one-sided, balance of nature would collapse in both our lives and physical world. If life was an endless cycle of people applying positive forces all the time, pleasure would simply lose all its meaning. As for the other scenario, if everyone was acting just in a negative manner, world would be pure chaos. You should understand that if world was any different than it is now, it would simply cease to exist. Yet somehow, against all odds, it is precisely where it needs to be, just like you. No matter how wrong it may seem at the moment, where you are right now is exactly where you need to be right now. It is all part of the process. You may still haven't changed your mind. Maybe you still think that all of this is wrong. The fact that nothing is straight up just good is unfair, and simply have one question for me. If you already know that everything you do will have a counter reaction, doesn't that mean that you have no control over what happens? I would say that's only partially true. What will happen to us and what our fortune may hold is unpredictable, intangible. Its spontaneous nature is exactly what gets us moving in life. Our entire existence would be completely stuck and still without it. This is where we come across the very first law of motion. Motionless object will remain motionless unless some force acts upon it, as well as an object moving in a certain direction will keep on moving in that direction unless it is changed by another force. Example of this can be a ball that is not moving, or for example, let's say, moving to the left. It will continue on moving to the left unless we hit it and give it direction to go right, for example, in which case it will go right. Quite simple. In our lives, This force can be anything, while we still remain in the role of this ball. Any and every event can change the course of our lives entirely. We may not know how it's going to happen or what effect it's going to have on us, just like how the ball doesn't know that we're about to hit it. Once again, you may ask the same question. Doesn't that mean that my fate is entirely out of my control? To give a full answer this time, I will say that yes, many forces will change your state of movement, and you may not know how or when it is going to happen. However, there is one force, one that truly matters that you have full control over, your own force. The fact that you still try to go on even though you have failed many times is a force. The fact that you still try to turn things around even though outside factors have changed your flow is a force, and it is the biggest one at that. When you realize that you're not where you want to be in life, you can be your own force to yourself and turn things around. It isn't easy, obviously. It's not something you do once and get it over with. It is an ongoing process that does not stop. It may become confusing as to why we should go on with this tiring and unstable process, why we should use every experience in life to grow when we know that everything we do will have a counter reaction, and everything that we still manage to build can be wrecked with some force that is simply out of our control. The reason for that is hidden in the last law that I'm going to mention today, which is Newton's second law. Now, this law is a formula, which simply says that to calculate the force, you need to multiply mass of the object by acceleration which it gained because of the force. You may ask how this formula can have any meaning beyond its obvious use, but the more you pay attention, the more it starts to make sense. There are few conclusions that you can reach within this formula. One of them being that more mass an object has, more force it needs in order to be moved. Example of this can be the very same ball. Now, if this ball were to have more mass, it would be more difficult to move it, which I'm sure you have noticed before. To analyze this in a metaphorical sense, we can easily say that mass is equivalent to a person's state of mind, their level of health and growth, just how big they try to be. The more you try to represent something bigger in life, the more you focus on yourself, prioritize things that help you move forward, the harder it will be for outside forces to make you budge, while, because of your growth, your own forces will be stronger. Yes, life is unpredictable. You don't know when it's going to sweep you off your feet and where it's going to take you. But it will be easier to keep your ground when you, as an individual, have more mass. What I said right now is just a very, very small part of crossovers between science and our lives. The more you try to know, the more you can see that none of them are just laws. Model of our lives is so interestingly similar to the principles of the universe. So, when you think that you're going through something that nobody can understand, just remember that nature knows how you're feeling the best. If there's one thing that I hope I got across is that things you may find boring, details you may want to overlook, all of them have an incredible potential of holding something bigger than themselves, bigger than the world of concrete, something very close and heartfelt to us. It all ties back to an apple falling down, a detail that everyone was so used to without actually understanding anything about it, until somebody paid attention. That's why I find it so important to listen to what nature has to say, what it's warning you about, what it allows you to see and learn even in the smallest details, because after all, we wouldn't be here today if Isaac Newton had decided to ignore the apple that fell down from the tree. Thank you.